of you. It's great to be back and great to see so many friendly and familiar faces. I'm actually here at the request of Randy and your chairman to help bring this election season to a successful conclusion as we move forward. Now, there's a lot of candidates on the ballot. Probably the most important is the election of President of the United States. It's so important that regardless of the fact that Barack Obama comes from Illinois, some of us may feel like we regret that, and in spite of the polling data, that we get everybody out we can to vote for every one of the candidates, particularly in the presidential election, because this will have ramifications as we move forward. But it reminds me of an article I read just this last vacation for the president when he was in Hawaii golfing. And I think people will come to make sense out of this. He happened to be following a lady who tripped and fell, and he helped pick her up on the golf course. And he turned to her and said, "You know who I am?" She said, "Yes." He said, "I'm Barack Obama." She said, "Yes, I know that." She said, he then said to her, "Well, would you be so kind as to vote for me in the upcoming election?" And she said, "Are you crazy? I fell on my rear, not my head." But in light of the seriousness of this election, a little humor never hurts. But it is important that we get engaged and we get our friends and our neighbors and our relatives engaged in these upcoming elections. In addition to the other elections, one that's very near and dear to me is the Illinois State Senate race, Randy Frese. Randy's become a very dear friend of mine, and he's become a very important person to, I believe, this area and to this opportunity we have in Illinois. The Senate district which Randy is running in is well represented by two of the best state representatives, Maureen Hammond and Jill Tracy. But their ability is limited, quite frankly, by the senator who represents their same district, as is a senator's ability limited by the state legislators in the House that represent them. This race is important and it's winnable. It is very, very winnable. I have to tell you, first of all, thanks. I received 70% of the vote in this county in the last election, so give yourselves a round of applause. Thank you for your hard work. In this district, I received over 65% of the vote. So we know that if we talk to enough people, if we make Randy a common name, that the voters are like-minded to support Randy and put him over the top in this election. But that's going to take a lot of hard work. It's going to take a lot of educating on our part. Randy's been working his tail off. He has literally, by the way, elections become somewhat scientific. And by that I mean we actually make our candidates turn in how many doors they knocked on, how many media pops they've gotten, how much money they've raised, how many volunteers they have walking for them, and all kinds of data that we collect to see where our candidates are. As I said, because I did so well in this area, and frankly, won all but one newly drawn Senate seat outside of Cook County, we have a great opportunity not just here, but in several races. And in fact, we're targeting over 15 races right now throughout the state where we have a chance to take on even incumbents. Now, the person Randy's running against is a nice guy. I'm not going to tell you he's not. But I will tell you, when it comes to making the tough votes in Springfield, Randy Frese will not go with the Chicago machine. And he will make the tough votes that will turn our state around. There's nothing more important in our state than jobs today. We continue to struggle with one of the highest unemployment rates of any state in the nation. We continue to see our neighbors go without. And it's due to the negative position of the Chicago Democrats, Governor Quinn, Mike Madigan, the Speaker of the House, and Senator John Colleton, the President of the Senate, and all the people who support them in their causes. And frighteningly, right now, the state of Illinois, under that leadership, is in a position where they actually believe that they can put people back to work by taxing, borrowing, and spending. But we know that not to be the case. just after the lame duck session at the General Assembly passed the single largest tax increase we've ever seen, Illinois was once more nationally renowned for losing more jobs in that month than any other state in the nation. We lost 26,000 jobs. Just in the last month, Crane Chicago Business reported that we will lose, 7 businesses have indicated that they will reduce over 1,000 jobs in this state. As I travel around the state and talk to businesses about their investment in Illinois, I ask them, what are the critical issues facing that? Your position. They said, well, the tax increase. A 67% income tax increase is too much for the businesses and the citizens and the families in the state to bear. Randy's opponent didn't vote for that tax increase, but yet voted for a tax increase that was bigger, providing a service tax on families and businesses throughout this state. Businesses are looking for states that are willing to live within their means without raising taxes, and they're looking for states that elect officials who are willing to reduce the tax burden so businesses can prosper and grow. Businesses are also looking for individuals who work to reform the cost of doing business in Illinois, from workers' compensation to regulation and infrastructure costs associated. I can tell you that the Chicago machine, which is supported by Democrats throughout this state, has failed to put the initiatives together that will make Illinois competitive again. And I can tell you that Randy Frese has already agreed to support those initiatives to move our state forward. Businesses also look for fiscal responsibility. Randy Frese won't stand by and allow the state to owe its vendors $9 billion. He won't stand by and allow our pension fund to continue to be unfunded to the level of over $90 billion today. He won't stand by and let Chicago politicians borrow against those pension funds to increase bonded and pension debt to a level exceeding $20 billion in this state. Because he knows that businesses invest in states that are fiscally responsible. Just in the last month, we saw a major business choose to locate in a neighboring state rather than here. Not because the current administration didn't offer them a sweetheart deal. They did. Offered them a better deal than the other state. But they were smart. They realized that the current political forces in Illinois could not live up to the promises they made, and those would be reneged on within due time, and we lost thousands of jobs and millions of dollars to our neighboring state because of our failure. Jill and I need people like Randy in Springfield to bring a common sense approach to solving our state's problems. By solving our state's problems, we will bring jobs back to Illinois. And it's a double win for all of us. But that can only be done with your help. Some of you know I lost a close election for governor. 15,000 votes, as we saw in the turnout. Now that's close. But let me tell you about my first election. I also ran against an incumbent, a 14-year incumbent, in my first election. And I won by a whopping 8 votes. Now that victory is a lot better than the last loss. But every vote counts. And please don't fail to recognize the influence that you have in this Senate district. And don't fail to recognize that your influence goes beyond your own county. Randy Frese cannot win this without our help. And I know you're here tonight because you want to help him and help the rest of the candidates that we have on the ballot. And that's why I'm here tonight. Randy Frese's benchmarks within our tabulating puts him in the top 4 candidates we have that we're targeting. He's worked hard. You've worked hard for him. But we've just got a few short weeks between now and the finish line. And make no mistake, this election is about Illinois families and jobs for Illinois families. You know, I'm closing, I think of a comment once, I believe it was I know it was Ronald Reagan, but I think it went something like this. Ronald Reagan was asked if he knew the difference between a recession and a depression. We're in those difficult times. President Reagan responded by saying, it's a recession when you're out of a job. It's a recession when your neighbor's out of a job. It's a depression when you're out of a job. Well, I'd like to send a little bit of that depression to some Democrats throughout this state. Put them out of a job. Thank you and God bless you.